Give me a second, everybody. Give me a second if anybody's watching. Give me a moment. Got to do a quick edit. Not there. Remove that. Bear with me, everybody. Bear with me. I think we got one person watching, probably on YouTube. It's okay. Hang on one second. Got a little glitch in the system that we're going to repair here in just a moment. Okay, where are you? Where are you? Destination. Right there. Painting with Jesse. Nope. I want the custom. That's the one. Edit. Okay, there we go. Edit. Okay, back over to the original stream. Edit once again. And we're going to go with painting with Jesse also. Save changes. And we should be in business now. All right, here we go. I clean my glasses too. All right, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to today's awesome and special event. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing Saturday. Let me make a quick adjustment to my camera here. Looks like I'm not getting the entire image of our painting. Hope you're all having an amazing weekend. And I hope you're ready to have a little bit of painting fun with me today. If somebody could give me a sound check, let's start with that. Give me a sound check. Whenever you guys see me looking down, I'm looking at the dashboard on my laptop to make sure things are going well. This is where I look at your comments and things like that. So when I'm looking down, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It is that I have to kind of make sure things are going well, and this is how I do it. Okay, so there we go. No comments as of yet. But if I could get a sound check, that would be great. And we'll get going here in just a moment, everyone. Bear with me a little bit. Let's go to that stream. Where's my stream? Okay, my dashboard. Back to the dashboard. Okay, that should do it. All right, fantastic. Looks like we got some comments already. Beautiful. Now I'm going to thank you, Diana. Thank you for that sound check. Thank you, Jessica. All right, everyone. So my name is Jesse. Welcome to all of you for joining me today. I know that I've already seen a couple of names on here that I recognize. Some of you that have been painting with me for a while will be on here with me today, and I'm sure there's going to be a few new people that are not familiar with the Painting with Jesse page. We do fun art tutorials on here, a little bit of drawing, and mostly painting. Today we have a special event where we've gone gray for May. For those of you that know, this is a special time of year. It's become one. Last March of 2022, last February, my wife was diagnosed with a brain tumor. A couple of weeks later in March, she had a craniotomy to remove it. We successfully removed it. Things have gone well. Recovery took quite a while, but here we are in 2023, thriving and looking forward to the rest of whatever life brings. So in honor of that, way back then, I decided that we were going to be doing something for brain tumor awareness. So May is Brain Tumor Awareness Month. So this is why we're doing this event today. Throughout the month, we've had a couple little things here and there around brain tumors. I'm hoping that next week, I'm going to have a representative from the National Brain Tumor Foundation, National Brain Tumor Society, join me to do a little live session where we get to kind of get things from their perspective. I get to ask them questions and things like that. I believe that as of right now, the date on that is going to be the 24th. Not totally sure yet. I want to cement that with them just to make sure. Things are a little bit touch and go. I didn't have a whole lot of time to plan everything out as best as I would have liked to, but it is what it is. And I think that this is so important that didn't matter if I was prepared completely or not. We had to go ahead and go through with our Gray for May events around the Painting with Jesse page. Okay, so I wrote a little something. Give me a second, everyone. I just want to make sure that we're still doing good here. And she says, I can hear you. What's happening, Jake? I'm a brain tumor survivor of 7 years. Thank you for doing this. Jake, thank you for joining. Absolutely. My pleasure. I feel like we need to give something back. And so this is our way of doing that. When I say we, I'm talking about my wife, Erica, and myself. I may have Erica on with me on a later live stream later this month to kind of talk a little bit about things from her perspective. Again, she's doing very well. She does have some permanent vision loss in her right eye, a little bit of blurriness there. But for how things turned out, from what they could have been, we are very fortunate. So I consider that we're some of the lucky ones. There are lots of people who are not with this kind of thing. So anyway, this is our way to give back. But again, I may have her on here at some point within the next couple of weeks to maybe talk a little bit about her side of things and maybe interview her, and talk about the experience of it. Okay. So I wrote a little something. I want to go through this really quickly just because I want to make sure that I cover everything. My brain isn't the best at remembering things. So I want to make sure that I get everything out that I'd like to say about our event today. First off, hello, everybody. If you've been following our journey this month, we've gone gray for May in honor of Brain Tumor Awareness Month. We've been gearing up for our special painting session, The Hope Tree, happening today, of course, right now at 2 p.m. Pacific. If you're not yet a part of our email community, now's the perfect time to join us. Forget that part. I apologize. I'm reading the wrong thing. Give me a second, everybody. I actually skipped. Sorry about that. Hang on a second. Yes, well, welcome to our special edition of the Painting with Jesse page. That was the rough draft. That wasn't what I meant to be reading. So we're gathered for a special cause, and I'm excited to paint with all of you today. We're advocating. We're not just painting, but we're advocating and spreading awareness about brain tumors. As I've mentioned, this cause is very close to mine and my wife Erica's heart. We're painting the Hope Tree. This piece, for me, when I created it, it symbolizes strength, growth, resilience, much like those who are battling brain tumors and their families. Before we pick up our brushes and dive into the creation process, I'd like to remind you that while this is a free session, donations for brain tumor research and support are encouraged. We have partnered with the National Brain Tumor Society, and together we're raising funds for a vital cause. As of right now, my goal is to raise $1,000 for the National Brain Tumor Society. I've created a page on their website for today, for the rest of the month. So far, we have raised $505. The last I checked, maybe about an hour ago, we've raised $505. So right about halfway from the $1,000 goal. I'm hoping we're able to knock that $1,000 goal completely out of the park. If you are interested in donating, I provided the link to that page in the description of the video. So please take a look at the top under the description for this. There should be a link that you can click on, and it'll take you over to that page on the National Brain Tumor Society's website, where you can just click and donate. Okay, so please, if you're able to, and you feel like this is something worthwhile, please go and donate. Every dollar counts. Obviously, I think the ideal situation is that we find a cure for all brain tumors. There's also all sorts of different types of brain tumors out there. The ideal situation would be that we find a cure for all brain tumors. But of course, in the meantime, advocacy, support, research, all that stuff is super important. And the National Brain Tumor Society is, I believe, the largest organization in the United States around that, or one of the top 2-3 organizations. So please, if you're able to, click on that link, head on over there and make a donation. Even if it's $1, folks, even if it's just $1, whatever you can for this very important cause. Whether you're here to paint or to show your support, I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for being here. This session is being recorded. If you can't participate live today and wish to be able to do so, it's going to be available immediately after the live session's over. You're going to be able to watch the recording of this here on the Painting with Jesse page. Okay? So let's embark on this artistic journey together and create the hope tree. Okay? Obviously, that's what we've got sitting over here. In just a little bit, I'm going to go over the details with regards to the supplies, things of that nature. All right. But again, folks, thank you so much for being here today. Again, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to paint with this at a later time if you can't do so today. During the session, you can actually pause the video. You can back it up. If you fall behind, don't stress out about it. I've got to maintain a particular pace. I'd like to get this wrapped up in about 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes at the most from the very start of the painting session. It is going to take us a little while. There are lots of little steps involved, whether you're new to painting, whether you've been painting for a little while, take your time with this, but most definitely enjoy the process. Okay. One thing that I tell people that is really important about painting is that you enjoy the process. If you're stressing out about making this perfect painting, I think you're going to take a little bit away from the enjoyment of your enjoyment. So please be sure to try to not stress out, just relax and enjoy, as I said. Okay. So with all that being said, during the session, I'm going to be putting out statistics around brain tumors. And I'd like to start with this one. Every year, there are about 700,000 people walking around with brain tumors. Some people are aware they have them. Lots of people are not aware. Oftentimes what happens is people find out that they have a brain tumor because they go in to get checked for something else. There's some kind of scan that's ordered or something, and by accident, they find the brain tumor. With regards to my wife, Erica, she was having lots of headaches and things of that nature, lots of other symptoms, but we took her in because she was having really strong headaches. And so they ordered a CAT scan, and that's how they found it. But I believe it is 23,000 people in 2023, something like 20. Let me see if that number is correct. Let me take a look at that really quickly. In 2023 alone, there's an estimate that about 84,000 people will be diagnosed with a brain tumor. Okay, so first statistic out there. All right, so let's talk about our session today. Get a little more specific about what we're going to be doing. So we're painting the hope tree. As I've mentioned, we have the painting here. I'm going to be teaching everything from scratch, step by step through the entire process. We're going to start with the background. Okay, background goes in first, and then we move on to some of the finer details, the tree, the leaves and all that stuff, the weeds or the little foliage down at the bottom, the shrubbery at the bottom, excuse me, the swing, all of that comes later. Okay, for those of you that are part of the Painting with Jesse email list, I've already sent out the stencil. For those of you that want the extra help, there is a stencil that I sent out to the Painting with Jesse email list. If you're not yet on the list, on the Painting with Jesse page, right at the very top, you should see a link that takes you to the email list. You can add yourself to it and you get immediate access to that stencil. Stencil tracer, I call it stencil, but it's a stencil tracer. It looks kind of like this, where basically I drew out, once I painted the piece, I drew out a little trace of the image for those of you that would like a little assistance. That don't like to draw, or maybe a little bit intimidated about having to draw everything from scratch. There is one of those available. Okay, so again, we're doing everything from scratch, but if you'd like to use that, absolutely, you're more than welcome to do so. As far as the colors today, let's go through these one at a time. Dioxazine purple. These are just suggested colors. You don't have to have these exact ones. Feel free to change these up however you want. Basically, you want a dark purple. Okay, so Dioxazine purple. I'm using Liquitex Basics, brand Liquitex Basics. Okay, acrylic paints, of course. Then I've got medium magenta. This is basically kind of a deep, almost rose pink. Okay, so medium magenta. We've got some titanium white. Any white will do. We've also got some primary yellow. Okay, any yellow will do. You guys get the gist of this. Then I've got cadmium orange hue. Okay, basically it's orange. Okay, this orange here tends to have a little tiny bit of a kind of a maybe more of a bright fluorescent kind of nature to it. When it goes on, it has a little bit of a pinkish tint, but that's not important. Okay, you can make that happen by mixing regular orange with a little bit of pink. Next color is burnt umber. Okay, this is the color that we're going to be using in the tree. Now, on the supplies list, I forgot to add black. Okay, if you don't have black, don't stress. The black could be used to mix in with this for the dark part of the tree. If you don't have black, a deep purple to mix with your brown is good to create that really dark hue in that tree. Okay, so again, if you don't have black, don't worry about it. My apologies for not having added that somehow. Somehow I forgot about it. My brain, again, little glitch. I know we're honoring brain, it's Brain Tumor Awareness Month, but my brain sometimes glitches. So again, this combination of colors will give you a really deep hue if you don't have black. Also, up in here, this is a really deep purple, okay, mixed with black up in the foliage here in the darker parts of the leaves. You would want to have black, and if not, once again, you would use this combination to get that deep color. Okay, those are the colors today. As far as the brushes, once again, these are recommended brushes. Don't stress out if you don't have these exact ones. Whatever you've got, use that. Do your best with them. First brush that I'm going to be using today is my 1-inch flat brush. Basically a big old beat up brush. I'm going to be using that for the majority of the background. So 1-inch flat. Okay. Next brush on the list is a 1/2-inch flat. Okay, real similar to the 1-inch flat. Square rectangular-ish brush. I'll be using this for the water, for some of the details like the little hills off in the distance, right? Filling in the tree, maybe filling in some of the foliage in the tree. Okay, so 1/2-inch flat. Next one on the list. Now this one's probably not going to get a whole lot of usage, but I included it in the supplies list. Sometimes some people like to use, you've got a number 8 Filbert. Okay, basically it's got a little rounded head up on top. These are pretty versatile. You can use these to make skinny lines. You could use this to fill in like your tree. You could use it for lots of different things. You could also use it for the rounded little sunset off in the distance. Okay, so number 8 Filbert. Then I've got a number 2 flat shader. All this is a little tiny flat brush, a little tiny thing. This one I can use for all sorts of stuff, but this is probably what I'll be using to make my little skinny lines when I put in my swing. This will also be used when I paint the swing. Okay, so a little number 2 flat shader. And then I've got 2 simple little brushes. These are detail brushes, both number 0s. One's a round and one is a detail brush. They're pretty much the same thing. You just need something really small, really skinny. You could use this for the foliage. You could use this for some of the branches. You could also even use this for the ropes for the swing. Okay, I just like to include these because some people do like these for some other small details. Okay, so those are the brushes. Miscellaneous supplies, paper towels, very important. Today I'm going to be using some paper palettes, styrofoam palettes actually, styrofoam plates for my palette, and then a water cup to rinse out my brushes, and that should be it. Oh, a blow dryer. in between steps, you'll probably see me use a blow dryer. It is pretty warm in my studio today. I've got a studio in my garage. It's pretty warm in here, so I may not need the blow dryer too much, but I will be using it from time to time. Okay, let's see really quickly. Let me look at the comments. I'm going to say hello to a few of you, and then we're going to get going. Dark hue. Hi, Beth. You're asking what color is dark hue? Are you talking about the orange, the deep hue for the orange? Hopefully, I answered the question with the when we talked about the colors. But if you have any questions, let me know. Drinking a little bit of cold water today. No coffee. It'll make me get a little hotter in here. Let's see what's happening, Angie. And then Debbie says, hey, Jesse, do you know if I can promote this in Canada? You sure can, Debbie. You absolutely can. Folks, that is another way that you can advocate. On top of donating, if you'd like to donate, if you're not able to donate and you simply want to support, please share the event. The more people that see this stuff, the better. Okay? So please, if you can, share the event as well. Let's see, what else do we got? New comment. Let me go down to the bottom. I keep freezing, somebody says. Anybody else seeing that? Is anybody else seeing me freezing? I should not be freezing, but everything's looking good on my end. My internet strength is very high. So if sometimes, folks, glitches may be happening on your end, okay? Be aware of that. If you are getting any glitchiness in the audio or the video, sometimes you exit the video and come back in and that gets cleared up, okay? Looks like I'm not seeing too many comments with regards to issues, so looks like we're probably okay. Oh my gosh, Beth says my brother-in-law passed away the same day I saw this on FB. Oh my gosh, my condolences, Beth, my condolences. So sorry to hear that. Folks, if you wish to share your stories in the comment section, like put a little brief snippet of your story or somebody that you know, a loved one perhaps that's gone through something with a brain tumor, please let us know. It helps others to know that they are not alone in this. So please, in the comments, use the comments to let us know, okay? Paula says, my stepmom passed last year from brain cancer. I'll paint in her memory today. She has always been in my life, and I love her so very much. My condolences, Paula. I can't imagine what that must be like to lose your mom to something like this. I know it must be super, super hard. But definitely our thoughts are with you and your family. What's happening, MB? How are you? All right, everybody. So here we go. Let's go and get going. It is 2:23 p.m. my time. We're going to start with that background. I'm going to start with a little bit of Dioxazine purple on my palette. I'm going to put this out on that palette. Okay, quite a bit of it because I'll be using this throughout quite a bit. So there's some Dioxazine purple. Again, whatever purple you've got, feel free to change this up however you'd like. It is your painting. I want you happy with it. If you want to change your colors, you want blues in there, you want greens in there, whatever color makes you happy to add in there. Perhaps you have a favorite color. Maybe you want to match this up to your house in some way or in honor of somebody that you're painting this for. Please feel free to make this painting your own. I'm here to guide you in recreating this piece the way that I originally created it, okay? But it is absolutely yours to change it however you'd like. Dioxazine purple, I've got some magenta and some white right here. Again, this could be pink, okay? So don't worry about having the exact color as I've got. Also, folks, please don't stress about recreating the exact version. If you're stressing about trying to make this look just like mine, please don't. Everyone's going to paint something a little bit differently. What I'm doing right now is I'm dipping my big brush right into my water cup. I bring that over to my plate, and I'm going to grab some of my purple. So I'm mixing a little bit of water and some purple. Grab a little bit. Oh, I forgot one color on the plate. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow here in just a second. But let's go ahead and start with this. A little white, a little purple, and a little bit of pink. Okay, maybe a little bit of water in there. Not maybe. In my case, I did add some water, depending on how flowy or not your paint is. You can change it up however you'd like. You can add your water or not. Maybe you don't need water. So I'm just going to take this purple and run it across the top. This is really thinned out paint. The reason it's thinned out is because I added that water to it. It spreads the paint out, makes it a little flowier, spreads it out so it's not as intense. Okay, I probably added a little too much water, so I'm just going to take my paper towel and just kind of blot out a little bit of this. Okay, and I'm going to do this. Take more paint, mix it into my palette. Okay, a little tiny bit of the purple, making the paint a little thicker. And here we go again. While I wanted it thin, I didn't want it that thin. So this part of it has a little tiny bit of an angle. Okay, a little bit like that. Okay. Grab a little bit of the pink by itself. Okay, a little bit of that pink. Now, folks, again, I want to keep this under 2.5 hours. So I've got to maintain a brisk, but not too brisk of a pace. If you start to fall behind, don't stress out. There's no such thing as everybody has to paint the same at the same pace. If you start to fall behind, I'm just adding little pinks in here throughout, spreading the paint around a little. If you start to fall behind, don't worry. You can always pause the session, pause it. If I'm going too quickly for you, you can pause it and then press play again, and it'll continue from where you left off. You can also back it up, okay? Okay, same little brush here. I'm just going to rinse it in my water cup for a bit. Don't have to remove every bit of the paint. It can be a little bit dirty there. I'm going to take a bit of yellow now. Put some right there. A little bit of yellow right on that plate, okay? Right next to all the other colors. I'm going to take that same brush. I'm going to grab some of that yellow paint. I'll bring it over here. And again, I've got some of the other colors mixed into the brush, so they're all going to mix a little bit. I'm going to take some white. And kind of do that, spread things around. Here we go. Next kind of layer here. You notice I came down a little bit. You'll see why here in just a sec. I'm going to work my way back up and allow the colors to blend a little here at the edge. So you have a little bit of an in-between. You can also bring some of this yellow up here on top a little, just a little bit for some variety. Okay, a little more of this. Purple and yellow are really beautiful complementary colors. They go very well with each other. Now, purple represents meningiomas, which is the type of brain tumor my wife had. Okay, this is also meningioma month, meningioma awareness month. But it's May is brain tumors in general month. But again, meningiomas is a type of brain tumor. Again, I want to emphasize my wife's was benign. So part of the reason why there's so much purple in this piece is for that, okay? To represent meningiomas. Okay, now back to the purple. Again, I still have some of that yellow in here. I'm not too worried about making this a completely perfect color. There's going to be a little bit of mixing. There's going to be a little bit of almost like randomness to this, okay? I have a very loose kind of painterly style is the way I usually approach most of my creations. I have to kind of fight with myself to be a little more orderly, especially when I'm teaching, because my style is I kind of figure things out as I go. I can have a kind of a set goal as to what I want and maybe even an outline of things. I'm just taking a little more purple and putting it into this original mix. But as I'm going, now I'm going to grab a little pink. I can just wing it a bit. But I know that's a little harder to follow along with when you're trying to learn, and so I try to be a little bit more organized when I'm teaching. But there's all sorts of different styles of painting out there. Some people are more like me. Some people prefer a more ordered kind of approach to things. Okay. All right. As I mentioned, we're going to be working that background first, okay? And we'll come back to all of this and do a little bit of touches before we move on to the next step. All right, let's see what else we got. So this one's a 1-inch flat brush, Angie. Okay, this one's a 1-inch flat. Debbie, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, cancer. Cancer is such a terrible thing. Such a terrible thing. We need a cure for all cancers, right? We need a cure for all types of cancer. Now I've been seeing lots of really promising stuff out there. Everything from cancer vaccines to basic treatments with all different types of areas of technology. So hopefully soon. But definitely, it affects so many people out there. Next thing I'm going to do a little something where I'm going to switch it up a little. I'm taking some of this pink. Now, if you've got red, like a crimson or a color like that, this is a good substitute for the pink would be red. I'm taking a little bit of my purple and my pink. I'm going to come down here. Oh, my apologies, folks. In case you didn't catch it from the supplies list, I am working with an 11 by 14 inch canvas, okay? So from the bottom of my canvas, maybe, let's say, about 5 to 6 inches from the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and draw my horizon line. Oops, a little bit of water, so it makes it easier to paint this. Just dip my brush in that water. Now I should probably use a little bit of a skinnier brush for this, but it's okay. Okay, I'm creating this little section right in here. This right in there. Okay, I'm also going to throw in a tiny bit of orange in my mixture. So let's go ahead and put a little orange on the plate. I'll go over that again in a second. Now, I will try to catch all of your comments, but it's really difficult. We've got lots of people joining today, happily so. And I can't always keep up with all the comments, but I'll do my best. Okay, a little bit of orange. I'm mixing it into that. Magenta or the pink, a little bit of purple. Okay, a little tiny bit more purple maybe. So I'm creating this color that's kind of it's almost like a burgundy. And I'm just taking this. Okay, let me make a little more of that. So same colors, purple, pink, orange. I can't wait to see what you guys all create with me. So when you're all done, please, folks, again, help raise awareness. Share this on your page if you can, on your social media. The video is going to stay on the Painting with Jesse page for a while for those that want to come back and paint with this. But also share them with me so I can share them with the followers of the Painting with Jesse page. If you could message them to me, send them to me on Messenger, that would be fantastic. Here on Facebook's Facebook, message it to Painting with Jesse. I'll take as many of the paintings that you all send me, and I'll share them in a batch maybe later in the week, before the end of the month. Okay, so again, all I did was create this area in here. Most of it's going to get covered up with the land masses back there, but we're just going to create a little dark burgundy background here in our sky. Sounds fantastic, Debbie. Absolutely. Absolutely. I hear you. Okay, now from here, we're going to come up into this area. We're going to create a slightly pinkish, slightly purplish, very, very light color that's going to sit in here. There's a kind of a purplish, pinkish hue that kind of even transitions into a bit of a yellow orange over here. Okay, this is what we're going to create next. We're not going to worry about this orange part yet. We'll add that later. Okay, so for now, same big brush. I'm going to clean it a little bit. Just rinse it. Okay, and then what I do in between rinses, I come over to my paper towel and just do this. Okay, I remove a lot of that paint. Now we're going to need plenty of white, so let me go ahead and put a little more white on my plate. I might be running out of my white paint, at least on this tube. I got more, but this tube is running a little thin on that white paint. Okay, so a little bit of white. I'm going to bring that. I'll find a place on my plate. Bring it over here. Okay, I'm going to take, in a moment, a little tiny smidge of the purple, just a smidge, and maybe a smidge of the pink. Kind of bring them together. They can be a little bit, they don't have to be like a really clean mixture. There's a little bit of a variety in there where you can see some areas are a little deeper purple, some are a little more pinkish. It's all okay. All right, now what we're going to do is this. There's already a little bit of water in my brush. Right here, I'm going to overlap a little bit. Now, a lot of this background is going to get covered up with the tree, right? So a lot of this that we're doing is going to end up behind our tree. And that's okay. But just in case your tree isn't that big or it's maybe more over to one side, you want to make sure you get really nice coverage back there. Okay, a little bit more white. Bring it over here. Maybe grab a little tiny bit of the yellow. Mix it in there. All colors are kind of mixing together a little bit. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to bring this. Again, everyone, I do apologize if I'm going a little quickly for some of you. But again, don't stress. Pause the video as you need it. Back it up. This is one of those paintings that you can easily paint for 3-4 hours if you really wanted to take your time. Either way, if I'm going too quickly, I'll be losing some of you. If I'm going too fast, if I'm going too slow, I'll be losing another chunk of you, and that's okay. If you can't stick around for the entire session, that's okay too. You can start it and then come back to it later. I just mixed a little bit of that orange in here too. I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow, a little bit more white. That's too intense. And here we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring this color all the way down. It's going to meet up with my burgundy-ish color here. We're going to overlap a little bit. I want to come back up a little. Now I'm using these long horizontal brush strokes to keep things nice and smooth and kind of uniform. You can use short, choppy brush strokes if you'd like. Okay, I'm not cleaning the brush, just grabbing a little bit more of the pink maybe, throwing it over here. Okay, I'm just going to come up in here and a little bit more white right over the top of all that. Okay, just rinsing my brush a little bit. Okay, gonna grab a little bit more of this yellow, kind of a yellow-orange combination, and I'm just gonna bring a little of that in here. This is really subtle, folks. Some of the things that I'm doing are really subtle. You're not necessarily going to catch. I just grabbed a bit more of the orange, brought it in here. Again, don't stress about recreating the exact version. Everyone, if there's 100 people painting, if there's 1,000 people painting, if there's 5 people painting, everyone's going to have a slightly to very different version of this. Okay. I think we're pretty good there. The only thing I need to do is make sure that my line here is level. I want this to be nice and level. In just a moment, I'm going to give you guys about a minute or two to catch up a little bit while I read some more stats. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of my pink, bring it over here where I mixed that burgundy color. Take a little tiny bit of purple, throw that in there too. A little bit of orange. Again, making a bit of a burgundy color. I'm just going to take that and right in here. I want this a little deeper. Especially in between, right in here where the colors, the color that you're going to be able to see in between these two little land masses. Okay, big brush for now is going to go in my water cup. I am switching over to my 1/2-inch flat. Okay, this right here, the same color that I just mixed. I'm dipping the tip of my brush just a little bit in my water cup. Don't need too much water. I'm going to take that. My background is actually drying really quickly because it's so warm in here. So I talked about using my blow dryer, and I may not have to. Okay. All right. So back to our statistics. Where did I leave my glasses? My dirty glasses that I got to wipe. Again, folks, this orange part we'll be adding in a little bit. Okay, so don't stress about that orange part. That is coming. All right, let's see. Some statistics. So brain and other nervous system cancer is the 10th leading cause of death for men and women. The 10th leading cause of death for men and women. Okay, and then let's see. Third statistic. Not all brain tumors are cancerous. In fact, meningiomas, like the one that my wife Erica had, are often benign. Okay, so, and then let's see. One more for now. Brain tumors can occur at any age. The average age of diagnosis is 59. Okay, so something we need to do. We need to do something about this. If we all band together, I'm sure much more quickly we'll find a cure to brain tumors. Okay, so again, thank you for being here, and if you're able to support by donating, please click on the link in the description of the video. Okay, there's a link in the description of the video that takes you over to the National Brain Tumor Society's webpage, where I created kind of the Painting with Jesse event. You could click right on that and donate. Let me take a look at that to see where we are as far as donations at the moment. Let's see if I can see that. Let's see. See where we're at. We were at $505 about an hour before I started. $636 raised so far of the $1,000 goal. So thank you so much for those of you that have donated so far. There have been people donating a little bit here and there throughout the month. So I do appreciate every single one of you that's donated. If we could knock the $1,000 goal out of the park, that would be fantastic. If we get $1 million, that would be great. I'm joking. I know that that's not likely, but whatever we can raise would be amazing. But if we can knock that $1,000 goal out of here, that'd be even more fantastic. So as of now, $636. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see any comments that just going to go over the comments real quick before we go to the next step. Yep, way to go. Way to go, says Jake. Katrinka says, I couldn't find all of my supplies to participate right now. I'm still interested in donating and painting this. Will this video be available later? It sure will. So it'll be available for, let's say, at least a couple of weeks here on the Painting with Jesse page. Probably leave it through maybe June for those that want to participate. And then the donations page, I'll keep it up. I'm not sure how long yet. I'm going to keep it up at least till the end of May, but if we can maybe keep it up for a little longer than that, along with the video for others that want to donate, to have the opportunity, that would be probably ideal. But all right, everybody, next step, here we go. Moving along. What we're going to do next is we're going to create a really light pink. This down in here, from here all the way down, we're going to add a nice light pink layer. So we're going to mix some white and some of the magenta. Again, if you don't have magenta, don't worry about it. I may have to reach over and grab some more white here in a bit. As I said, I'm starting to run really low on my white. And I just got some all over my hands. Okay, a little bit of, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to my big 1-inch flat. Okay, I'm just going to rinse it a little bit. I have a little bit of the sniffles, folks. Last night I started feeling a tiny bit under the weather. Woke up with a bit of a sore throat. That's gone away, but I have a tiny bit of the sniffles. So if you hear me, I do apologize about that. Don't need to be sniffling in your ears. So a little bit of white is going to bring that over here. Probably going to need more than that, but we'll start with that little bit. Tiny bit of the pink. Just want to have a nice, really light pink to start with. And if you want to make yours a little more purple-ish, you can add a tiny bit of that. This is going to be the highlight color in the water, or at least one of the highlights. Just grab a tiny bit of my purple, threw it in there. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, run it across my horizon, and then we're going to take this and paint it all the way down. Long, broad brush strokes. I spread out the paint. I don't want it too thin. Okay, a little more paint. And I'm spreading it out. We're going to be painting some details over this. Some highlights, some shadows. Let me grab more white here. Seem to have run out of my mixture. A little bit of white. Once again, a little bit of my pink. Throwing a tiny, tiny bit of the purple. Here we go. If your pink is looking a little streaky, that's perfect. It'll actually help this look like water. So if it doesn't have to be perfectly uniform. You can have some areas that are a little bit more pinkish, some areas that maybe are a little bit more purplish. It's all good. I'm going to take a bit of that pink. Once again, I'm just going to try to do this. Tiny bit of the purple. Just made it a tiny bit darker, and all I'm going to do with that is just move things around a little bit to create some of those streaks that I'm talking about. This is a bit random, but and subtle, but this will make things a bit more interesting later on. Just took a bit more pink, threw it in here. A bit more white. A bit more pink. Now your color may end up looking a little darker, may end up looking a little lighter. I'll give you guys a close-up here in just a second. A little darker, a little lighter, doesn't really matter too much. It's all going to work out. Okay, so please relax, have fun, enjoy today's session. Okay, take a look. That's what I'm talking about with the streakiness. Okay? Real subtle, but they're there. Okay, we got about a minute to catch up while I drink a little bit of water. And I look at the comments. What's happening, Sue? Thank you, Jake. I'm already feeling much better. I woke up feeling a little bit more miserable than I am right now. Yeah, it looks like it's whatever it is, it's super mild. You got it, Katrinka. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Yep, let's do this, MB. Hopefully it does. Angie says, my colors are mixing. Is that normal? Absolutely. Absolutely. Color mixing as you're going along is perfectly normal. Kathleen says, my husband died of glioblastoma. I've seen it. It looks like, now correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know much about glioblastoma. I looked a little bit into it, and it looks like that's one of the more serious types of brain tumors to have. I've had a few people reach out to me and explain to me it's somebody that they knew had that type of tumor and passed away. So, you know, that's one of the more serious ones. It looks like they're all serious, obvious, right? But definitely, Kathleen, our condolences. That's, scary, scary, terrible thing. Miranda says, I lost a lot of people in life. So sorry for yours. My grandmother found out she had stage 4 lung cancer too late, although she's religiously went to the doctors. Cancer sucks. It sure does. It absolutely does. I think we can absolutely 100% agree that cancer sucks. No doubt about it. Okay, everyone. So, while this is drying right here, I'm going to move up into this little orange section up there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm using my 1/2-inch flat brush. Okay, this guy right here. Okay, nothing fancy, nothing special. I'm going to take some orange, okay, and I'm going to maybe find a spot right here on top of this other orangish color. Yeah, we're going to need a little bit of that. I'm also going to take a little bit of the pink. A little bit, not too much, because that pink will overpower this color really quickly. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow. A little bit more, maybe a little more pink. Now, if you want a really vibrant orange, then don't mix anything in there. This orange in my painting is a little bit more of a subtle orange, although I'm mixing it so that it gets really strong. I'm actually going to take a bit of white and lower that intensity a bit. Okay, so I'm going to take this. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of water. So I'm dipping my brush just a little bit with the paint on it. I'm just dipping that brush right into that water. Okay, a little bit. Now I'm going to take this. The water and the paint are going to mix right here on the plate or on the canvas. And I'm going to spread this. Now this is all dry, so I'm not mixing much in here. Again, everyone, for those of you that are interested, right now the tentative date is the 24th, so May 24th. I've got a representative from the National Brain Tumor Society. It's going to join me for either a live, hopefully it's a live, but maybe it'll be a recorded session. She hasn't decided which she's more comfortable with, to talk about brain tumors from an insider's point of view, from their perspective. Okay. Here I'm going to overlap a little bit with my burgundy color below, but that should be interesting. And I'll post as soon as I have the details. I'll create the event page around it, and I'll post it. Of course, I'll post it on the Facebook page and email it out to the Painting with Jess email list. And anybody else who hopefully is interested will share it and invite friends and stuff like that. But right now, the tentative date for that is the 24th. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Take a little bit of yellow now. Maybe just make it a tiny bit brighter. And I'll come up here, just around the edges maybe. Okay, a little bit of water. Don't want this too runny, so if I dip my brush too deep in the water, I'll just do that to take some of that off. Just brushing through. So we're painting the hope tree. Hope tree. Resilience and strength. Okay. Okay, same brush. You grab a little bit of purple. I'll bring it over here. A little bit of water. And spread that in there. And I'm just going to also grab maybe a touch of the pink. And I'll come in here and I'm going to create a couple little sections in here that are going to be darker, like this. So here. Okay, I'll also maybe spread that there across like that. Maybe we'll grab a little more pink and find little sections like this. Make it somewhat streaky. Now, meningiomas, from what I understand, from what the doctors told us and what we kind of researched, meningiomas tend to affect, I believe it's 3 out of every 4 or so, about 75% are women in their between 30 and 40 is what it looks like is the, and folks, if I'm not trying to give you guys wrong information, so please feel free to research any of this on your own. It's just, I know that I might be kind of from memory in this case a little bit. I don't want to steer you guys the wrong way, but basically what I remember from the details our doctor gave us is that women between the ages of 30 and 40 are the ones that are most likely to have a meningioma. Things like apparently female hormones, especially like during pregnancy, can cause them to grow even more quickly. So it's almost like having the pregnancy hormones, it's almost like giving the tumor growth hormone. Erica, we had a baby in December of last year. So 2020, wait, hold on a second, 2021, we had a baby on Christmas Day. She was diagnosed with a brain tumor about 2 months later. And it was a large tumor. It was about the size of a small tangerine. Okay, so it was a good sized tumor sitting on the front part of her brain, putting lots of pressure there. And there were all sorts of symptoms, but we thought they were due to postpartum depression, perhaps. Listlessness, kind of like she was forgetful and just seemed really uninterested in things and kind of tired all the time, fatigue. But once we found out what she had, the doctors think that she might have had it for a long time, but the pregnancy sped up its growth. So, okay, just a little bit of information from our experience. All right. Reading some of your comments, folks, it bums me out a little bit. Terrible. We need a cure, everybody. We need a cure. Okay, just going back over this section a little bit. All right, so where are we? What we're going to do next is we're going to go into that water, okay, and create this pink area, this pink, pretty area back in here, okay? And all that is magenta and a little bit of water. You can also mix in a little bit of white if you want to make it a little bit lighter. Give me a sec, folks. I'm going to grab my big tube of white. Give me a second. So a little bit of pink, as I mentioned, maybe a little bit of white. And I'm going to be using in my flat, my 1/2-inch flat. So many people with stories about, experiences with brain cancer. So many people. So here's my pink. Okay, I'll take a little bit of water, just a little bit. Water makes paint makes it flow better, but it can also thin it out a little bit, so it's not quite as intense. Let me put my glasses on here. My vision's getting a little tired for these little close-ups. And then here we go. We're moving along, everybody. We're moving along. Little by little, little by little. Spreading my paint. Over here, I'm going to come down. Let's see. How about right here? Okay. I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to grab my Filbert, my little Filbert brush here. Again, if you don't have a Filbert, you just want something that you can make these little lines here in a second. You'll see these here. Here. Now I need to go over that again. It's just not intense enough. We'll do that in a bit. Drawing these inwards a little more. Okay. Again, I'll come back to this and add another layer on top of it. It needs to be a little bit more intense. What I am going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of, so my brush still has some of that pink in there. I'm going to take some of this purple, a bit of white, lighten up that color. A little bit of water, dip my brush in that water, bring it over, mix it in on the plate. And then I'm going to bring this down in here. Now, most of this area over here is going to be covered up with the tree and the floor here at the bottom, but I'm just going to take this purple and spread it across here. This is probably about an inch, maybe a quarter from the bottom of my 11 by 14 inch canvas. Whatever size you're using, you have to kind of gauge your proportions a bit if you're not using the same size. Might make it a little bit harder, but that's all right. You can figure it out. Just kind of eyeball it. I'll bring this across. Early detection is crucial when it comes to cancer of any type, brain tumors, tumors of any type. Early detection is crucial. Even benign tumors can do damage, right? If they get too large, they can cause all sorts of problems. Erica's unfortunately was, caught way later. Maybe we would have somehow caught it early on in the process when it was really small. There would have been other treatment options, and then the surgery wouldn't have been as invasive as it was. So, coming up with ways to find tumors early, very, very crucial. Let's see. Candy says, I lost a friend to brain cancer, to a brain tumor, and that was cancerous. Yeah, so sorry, Candy. My condolences. Let's see. Florencia says, I have prolactinoma, a brain cancer benign. Under a brain tumor benign, I think is what you meant, perhaps. Under treatment for life. Wow. For life. So Erica has to get checked every 6 months for the first couple of years, I think it is, and then it goes to once a year, and then it goes to once every 5 years, and then eventually it's once every 10 years or something like that. I can't remember the sequence. But yeah, even though it was benign and they were able to get all of it out, they still want to come back and make sure. Hi, Rose. Happy you're here. Let's see. Dawn says, I don't have magenta, but I have a deep pink. You can put in a little bit of purple if you've got purple, a little bit of purple. You can also try a little bit. If you don't have purple, try a little bit of blue. That could also do the trick. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead while this is drying. Okay. I'm going to start adding in a few of these little highlights in my water in here. I know that I'm going to have this tree here. Okay. So I don't want to add too many highlights. I can also start putting in my sun. That's another step. So, but before I do any of that, I'm actually looking at my orange and it's a little bit washed out, this in the sky. So I'm just going to quickly add another layer. So let me grab more of the orange because I've used it up on my plate. We're getting there, folks, little by little. Please, don't stress. Don't, it's all a process. Don't stress out if you're looking at it going, I'm not so sure. It's all a process, little by little. Okay, so a little bit of orange, then a little bit of the pink, a little bit of the white maybe. Again, the white mutes it a bit, makes it a little bit chalkier, or chalky-ish, which is what I want if the color, if I don't want that orange to be too bright or too strong, I can lower the intensity by adding a little bit of white. Also can take a little bit of yellow and maybe do that. Okay. I'm not going to mix water in this case. I want that nice, good coverage in this step over the original layer that's on the canvas. We're going to spread this. When Erica was diagnosed, they immediately had to put her on anti-seizure meds. With the size that it was, they were surprised that she hadn't had any seizures yet. So that was kind of a big concern. They needed to put her on anti-seizure meds immediately. Grabbing a bit of yellow now. I'm just going to take a little bit of this and just add a little bit here, a little bit there. Maybe I'll bring some up here too. What the heck? A little yellow orange. Mix things up. Why not? Our little daughter, like I mentioned, she was right under 2 months old, I believe it was, when the diagnosis happened, and She had been breastfeeding. So right there in the hospital parking lot, she had to learn how to take a bottle. She had to take a baby bottle right there and then. She didn't want to. She was super upset, but had to do it. Okay, a little bit of yellow now with a small brush. We're going to take. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait on the sun. I'm going to wait on that. I want to get the tree and stuff in there first. Okay, before we do the sun. But what we're going to do now is come in here and start adding some of the highlight. Well, if I don't want to add the sun just yet, if I don't want to add that sun, then I don't want to add the highlights either, because I want to make sure they line up. So we're going to start with that tree in just a moment. Okay, so you got about a minute or so. We're going to start on that tree. Okay, I'm going to take my blow dryer and dry this up. Okay, in just a moment before we go to the tree. Feels like I got paint on my face. How long has it been, Jake? How long has it been for you? Since you had your surgery, or did they do surgery? Was it chemo? Was it, what did they do? If you don't mind my asking, you don't have to share if that's, if you don't want to share, that's okay. 7 years, okay. And where they had to go in and do surgery or craniotomy, or again, folks, please don't feel obligated to share. You don't have to share that much. Whatever you're comfortable with. Okay. Where was my brain going? Oh, give me 1 second. We're gonna start on that tree here in a moment. We're already about an hour into the actual painting session. We are at $662 so far. I don't remember what last donation was made anonymously 12 minutes ago. Okay, so we're moving, folks. Please don't forget, if you're planning on donating, click on that link in the description of the video. You'll also see the link in the comments. I pinned it so it keeps popping up in the comment section. Okay, so if you see that, you don't have to donate now, of course, but maybe after you're done with the session. All right. Let's see, do I need a blow dryer? No, I think we're good. We're not going to need that blow dryer. I'm going to turn the original towards me a little bit so I get a better angle. I want to make sure that I'm able to see what I'm doing. Otherwise, you guys are going to end up creating the same thing I created. If mine's distorted, yours is going to be distorted too. Before I actually jump into that tree, I'm going to take one little step, one moment to add more paint in here. Okay, I want this to be a little more solid. So I'm going to take a little bit of pink. Once again, let me grab some of that. My magenta. So again, folks, magenta, you can add a touch of purple or even a touch of blue for pink, and then make that into more of a magenta color. I used to have a Corvette that was magenta. We won't get into that. All right, a little magenta coming right here. We got a little tiny bit of my purple now, just a little bit. We're going to mix it together. I'm also going to take some white and raise the value up a little bit. That's what it's called in painting. When you add white to a color, you're raising up the color value. Okay, just mixing that in a bit. Now, when I mix this, I want to leave it a little bit streaky, meaning that the colors that I'm using in here aren't completely blended together. Okay, just doing that. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's a little bit of white, a little bit of purple, a little bit of pink. Now I'm going to take my brush here, and I'm just going to take this. As I'm running my brush across here, it's going to leave some streaks. That's what I want. Okay. Switching over to my Filbert. I'm going to go like this. Painting takes time, folks. There's no rushing this, especially when you're adding layers and little details. It takes patience. Also, painting is a very therapeutic endeavor. Lots of people think that when you paint, it has to be because you're trying to become a professional or sell your art, which of course maybe that's part of it. But some people paint just to paint because they get lost in the process. Okay, because you kind of lose yourself. It becomes a bit of a meditation. Okay, so there doesn't have to be any kind of end goal other than that you paint for its therapeutic nature. For lots of people that have that are dealing with stuff like brain tumors and other illnesses, painting can be a kind of a place to go and get lost and just not worry about anything. You focus on the one thing right in front of you. Just going to take a little bit of my purple here, washed it down with some water, made it really thin, and I'm going to mix some white in here. Now I'm just going to take this and just run it across. Some people paint for themselves and never share their paintings with anybody else. They do it because it's just enjoyable. So just grabbing my white and pink mixture and I'm just opening this up a little bit more. I brought all this a little too close together, I think, and I want to do a little bit more of an opening. So we'll just make a little adjustment as we go. Nothing crazy about this. No chemo, says Jake. We found it fairly early, thankfully, size of a large grape tomato. Astrocytoma. Okay. Well, glad you're doing well, Jake. Hopefully you're fully recovered and never have to deal with that again. And thank you for sharing your story here. Thank you. Just coming over and adding more of that white-pink mixture. Before we get into the tree, I'm just trying to make my background, nice and pretty. Once I put that tree in here, it's going to be a little harder to get in here. Doesn't mean we can't, but just to make our jobs a little easier, you always want to be taking a step back and looking at your art, at your progress in regular kind of intervals. You do a few steps, take a step back, look at what you've got, right? Make sure that you're where you want to be. Oftentimes you can take a little walk, go walk out to the kitchen, get yourself a snack, get yourself a drink, let your vision kind of refresh a little bit, and then come back and look at it again with kind of fresh eyes and see what you've got. Okay, so we're ready to start adding. Actually, one more little step. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Lots to think about. We're going to add the dark land masses back here. Okay, off in that distance on the horizon line. This is our horizon line. We're going to add that first. Now, purple and a little bit of black if you have it. I'm going to mix purple and my burnt umber. It's going to create a really dark color. I'm going to use my Filbert brush. Okay, so I'm going to take my purple here, and I'm going to do it right here on top of this other purple. Okay, now, like I mentioned, I'm going to grab a little bit, in this case, a little bit of my burnt umber. It's a very dark brown. You can use black, or if your purple is dark enough, you don't have to, you don't need to mix anything with it. It's up to you. I'll put that brown right over here. Okay. Burnt umber, very deep brown, rich brown. Okay, again, my Filbert brush. Let's grab those glasses and put them on. Okay, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay. In my case, my ratio is about 2 to 3 of the purple to the brown. Okay, a little bit of water, bring that over. So I dip my brush in that water, bring it over. First thing I'm going to do is this. So from the edge of my 11 by 14 inch canvas, I probably have about maybe 4.5 inches in, about, just approximating. I'm going to run that across like that. And I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to do this. Goes up. And we can do the outline first. Again, we're going to have a big tree that's going across all this, so we're not going to see a lot of this. Or some of this is going to get kind of lost. And then maybe like that. Hey, Jake, how did they find it? What led to them discovering your tumor? So far, so good, though it's still a struggle every day, says Jake. But how did they go about finding it? Again, folks, early detection is so important with any illness, right? With any illness, the earlier they catch it, the better likelihood of positive outcomes to treatment and things like that. Okay, other side, about maybe 4 inches. And I just dip my hand in my burnt umber. Goes up. And kind of does this, has a little hill right there. Am I still in the shot? I sure am. Okay, and then we fill it all in. Chronic migraines. Okay, started about 6 months prior to surgery. Okay. 6 months, huh? We don't know how early they started with Erica. We started to notice them about a month before we went in to have her checked out. We thought the doctors were going to say, you're dehydrated, you're not drinking enough water, you need to keep yourself hydrated, which is why you're having headaches. And the reason we thought that is because when she would drink something, the headaches seemed to kind of subside a bit. We ended up going to the hospital. We took off like at 4 in the morning. She woke up with a really strong headache. And we were both really exhausted with the new baby. She had been having lots of tummy issues. So she couldn't feed very well because of a tongue tie that she had. And so we were having to be up with her several times at night to help her digest her food. Like we had to hold her up right and stuff like that. So we were both really exhausted. Weeks and weeks of bad sleep. Anyway, that morning when she was having her headache, she said, "Hey, can we go to the hospital? I'm feeling, my headache is really intense." And it took me a moment. It took me about a couple of minutes. I was really tired, and I'm like, "Oh my God, you just need to drink water." And then I sat there kind of thinking, as I'm laying there on the couch, actually with my daughter holding her upright, so she's digesting her milk. And I said, "No, let's go. Let's go over to the hospital," thinking that maybe there's a possibility it could be something worse. So about 4:30 in the morning, there we were at the hospital. And about 3 hours later, 3 hours later, we got the diagnosis. Crazy times. Okay, there's my little landmass. Let me give you a close-up of what I've got. Okay, we're going to go from top to bottom before we start with that tree. Okay. Again, a lot of this up here is going to get covered up. And we're going to be able to do some refinements to the water and to the sky a little bit. Okay, but you want to make sure that for the most part, your background and what you've got going so far is where you want it to be. Okay, we are about an hour and 15 minutes into this. I see about an hour before we're all done. About, okay? So before we go to that next step, just make sure you are good to go. Assess, take a step back, look at your painting from a distance. Take a few steps back, look at it, and then decide that you're good to go. If you're good to go. Filbert. Okay, my little filbert brush. So I mentioned earlier that I forgot to mention in the supplies list that I had originally mixed black with burnt umber to create this dark color in here. Okay? Because I forgot to mention black, I'm going to stick with my palette, which is I'm going to mix burnt umber and my Dioxazine purple to create a really dark color. Okay, now if you have black, go ahead and use black. It's up to you though. You can use the colors that I'm using. So here's my brown, here's my purple. I'm going to mix the two together and combine to create a really deep color. As it dries, it gets even darker. So it's going to represent, this isn't completely black on the original. Again, it's a combination of burnt umber and black. Okay, and we mix plenty of this. Now I'm going to take my brush, dip it in my water cup a couple of times. I need to bring a few drops of water over. Okay, what I'm doing, not too much water, but I want to take my water and mix it in here. Because we're going to be making skinny lines when we get up to those branches. We want that water in there because it helps us make those tiny lines. Okay, from the edge of my canvas, actually I'm not worried about this part here, I'm just worried about this right in here. How high up is that? Well, it looks like about maybe 3 inches-ish. So we're going to go like this. Little mark. Okay. How far across is this section? About 3.5, maybe 4 inches. So right about here is about where that tree would be. So I'm just marking some stuff off. Okay, just marking some stuff off. Nothing fancy, nothing too specific or perfect. I'm going to come over this way. I'm creating this little area that drops down in here. Okay, I'm just going to go like this. I'm not worried about perfect, just close to the original. Goes like that. Comes under. and then goes. Not worried about all this in here. I'm just worried about the land, the ground itself. Under the first layer of paint, it's going to be a little transparent. All right, when we come back and add more colors over this, more paint, it's going to become more intense, darker. For now, all I'm worried about is the shape of everything. Shape and then the size. Again, everybody, nice and easy. You're all going to end up with a little bit of a different tree. It's not going to be exactly like mine or exactly like your neighbors or whoever's painting there with you. Maybe not your next door neighbor, but whoever might be painting along with you. Okay. So here's my landmass. I'll take a little step back so I can look at the two side by side, get a better perspective. Probably can come up a little higher over here, which I will do. Maybe okay, this is the beginning of the tree right about here. Okay, and then maybe this will be about right there. So again, everyone, you want to take a moment to assess. That's the start of our tree trunk. Okay. All right. We're doing good, everybody, making good time. I think we're gonna keep it within the time frame that I'm looking at. You got it, Don. Don, thank you so much for joining in today. Also, thank you for your donation. Greatly appreciated. And definitely come on back when you're ready, okay? Diana says, I didn't have a brain tumor, but I had a brain bleed about 9 years ago. There's no warning, and it's crucial you get to the hospital immediately. I am very lucky that I survived and had no side effects except I got migraines. Wow, Diana. So how do you know how you develop the brain bleed? Is that something that they can tell you? You know, like I know sometimes it's from, like boxers, for example, fighters sometimes will develop brain bleeding from getting hit in the head. So is there something that maybe happened with you that, that triggered that? Okay, everyone. So I'm switching brushes. What I want to do is grab, actually, you know what? I'm still going to stick with the Filbert. I was about to try something a little different, but no need. What I'm going to do, and here's the trick. When you start working on your trunk, you want to keep your lines really skinny at first and then develop it, make everything thicker. Okay. What I'm going to do is start right about here. Okay. And this point is about maybe 4 inches in. So let's kind of maybe mark that. So about right here, I'm just going to put a little mark there. Again, this represents about this area in here. Okay, just kind of for a quick reference, that's pretty close. And then let's see, from here on the bottom, I'm just doing a quick kind of gauging where everything is. With the skinny part of my Filbert brush, I'm going to go like this, skinny line. Just going to follow the general shape of that trunk. Now this could be the outer edge of that, or it could be somewhere in the middle of the tree, but just a really skinny line. Okay, so again, this is here. So this would come up maybe, and following that branch goes up. Kind of does that. We don't want to go too high up because we have all the leaves and stuff that we're going to create. Okay, but before we continue any further there, what I want to do is just create the trunk. Give it its shape, give it its thickness, and we go a little bit at a time. We don't want to go too quickly. So something like that, still using that Filbert brush. And then maybe here, I'll come down over here, and I'm going to go like this. out of my mix, so let's make some more. And we're slowly making adjustments a little bit at a time. Fill it in again. So you want to err on the side of keeping things skinnier. Don't make it so fat. Make it skinny at the beginning and then slowly make it larger. If you make it too large too quickly, you might find that it's too big and then you're not happy with what you've got, and that's harder to fix. You have to remove paint or find other ways to make it work. So carefully, a little at a time, add a little shape. Okay, let's go ahead and put in the heart. That heart is about 3 inches in. We're talking about this branch is about right here. Let's see. About right there. Again, nice and skinny. If you need a smaller brush, grab a smaller brush. Okay, does that. This is about right in here. So this is going to loop over. Actually, I'm going to come over here first. Now I'll come over to this side. You could even do this with chalk first. For those of you that want to be drawing this freehand like this, right on the canvas, you can do it with chalk first, and then make your adjustment. make your adjustments till you have it right, and then trace over that chalk with your paint. Got a little branch that sticks up. Okay. Then we've got. Let's go ahead and thicken this branch up a little bit. Does that. A little bit at a time, everybody. Right here, we're going to go over like that. Okay, we got a little branch that does this. Maybe another one over here. Okay, we're back to this part right here. Okay, I'll give you a moment, everybody. Let's go over some, let me see what else you got with regards to comments, questions. April says, I have an ongoing brain infection. I just got out of the hospital for a second time with this yesterday, looking at another brain surgery to put shunt back in, pseudo tumor cerebri. So an infection, any idea of how you developed that, April, where it came from? Or so Diana says, high blood pressure can do it. Mine apparently was a freak of nature per my neurologist. Wow. Scary stuff, folks. Life is precarious, beautiful, amazing, scary, and all the other stuff, but definitely can be scary. A diagnosis like the ones we've been talking about just flips everything on its head, right? Everything just flipped on its head. What can you do? Statistics. Let's talk a little bit about statistics. So I said the last statistic I gave is brain tumors can occur at any age. The average age of diagnosis is 59. Next statistics. Statistic: meningiomas are the most common primary brain tumors in adults, accounting for about 1 in 3 of all primary brain and spinal cord tumors. Okay, another statistic: brain tumors are more common in children and older adults, though people of any age can get a brain tumor. I guess, okay, I was talking about meningiomas earlier when I mentioned the age range for women. But so brain tumors are most common in children and older adults, though people of any age can get a brain tumor. Number 7, brain tumors can cause a variety of symptoms, ranging from headaches to personality changes, depending on their location in the brain. That was one thing that, especially in hindsight, lots of things made sense with Erica. We were like, what is, I was sitting there going, who is this lady? What is going on? So many things that were outside of her normal kind of behavior that I was just like, what's going on? So, and when we found out where the brain tumor was and everything else, the doctor, one of the first things he said is, you may have noticed Erica her behavior was very different, which is a very interesting thing, right? That it can affect your personality in such a way that you can do some very peculiar or different from your personality, but normal personality, things from your normal personality. All right, let's continue right here with this big branch. I'm just going to come over. Let's see, how far do we want to go with this? Not too far. We don't want to get too close to the edge of our canvas. We'll go like this. And then I'm going to start speeding things up a little bit, folks, a little bit. I know this is, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, although it's beautiful, fun, important. I know that, lots of you have things to do. So just continuing with my tree. Let's see, this branch goes up. Kind of do that. Do that. Okay. Let's see. Let's fill some of this in down here. So right now we've got no highlights in any of this. Okay. I'm going to mix a little bit more of my paint because I need to come in here and add more of it on top of that. So the same mixture coming up. Rebecca, no worries. Absolutely. This will be available afterwards. As soon as the recording is over, actually, you could even start from the beginning right now. You could take the video and back it all the way up, okay? Just an FYI, if any of you are jumping on a little late, you can back the video up to the beginning. But it will definitely be available immediately after if you want to, work on it later. So mixing more of my burnt umber and my purple, making that really pretty dark color. And I'm going to mix a little bit of water with my mixture. So dipping that brush in that water, bringing it over, mixing it in here, and then we're going. Just going to come in here and make sure this is all nice and solid. I mentioned earlier that it was a bit transparent. Usually the first pass of paint is transparent. And when you want to make it really solid, you have to come back and do layers. Sometimes 2 layers do it, like in this case, with such a dark color, 2 layers do it. Sometimes though, if you got a lighter color, then it takes a few more layers. Do we have any first-time painters in here today, painting along today? Any first-timers or really new to painting? Let us know in the comments. Again, folks, painting, art of all types, any art, whether you're sculpting or carving things out of wood, knitting, etc., has some very therapeutic, intrinsic qualities that anyone can benefit from. So I encourage you to take it up. You don't have to be making elaborate things. You can make little things, simple things. You can give them away as gifts. People love receiving personalized art, that people make with their hands. Okay, in a moment, we're going to come up in here. We're actually going to go, while this is all drying, we're going to add the sun. In my case, it's a sun. Maybe in your case, it's a moon. We'll add in the sun. We're going to add some of the highlights in the water. We're going to start on the leaves in the tree. Okay, we're going to add the leaves in the tree, and then we're going to jump back and forth between adding elements to both. We'll lastly, or close to last, add in some of the highlights and then the little weeds over there on the sides, the grasses that you see. Okay, but we're getting in there little by little. Now, if your tree looks a little on the thick side, if your tree's a little thick, when we add those highlights, that's going to minimize that. That's going to give it a little bit of a 3D effect. Now, you do not need to have highlights in your tree. You can simply leave it as a silhouette, and it will probably look just fine. Okay, but that is up to you. Again, excuse me, folks. I do apologize about. I'm a little bit congested. Okay, Bethany, fantastic. New to your lives and lives in general. I usually just paint alone or draw. Okay, cool. Well, welcome. Candy says, I'd like to do flow paint for therapy. Are you talking about the paint pouring? Is that what you mean, Candy? There's so many different types of art, right? So please let me know if you're not referring to like the paint pouring. There you go, Nilsa, absolutely. She says, may everyone heal from whichever malady holds you fast. Yes. Cheryl says, I'm new to painting with you. Awesome, Cheryl. Well, welcome. Yep, Angie, you sure are. Angie says, I'm a frequent student and first-time Hope Tree painter. The live stream keeps pausing, says Angie. So let me check my internet. So my internet's looking good. Sometimes you have to exit the video. Sometimes it's temporary. Sometimes you have to exit the session and come back in, and that'll clear things up. So far, mine's looking good. Knock on wood. But it can happen. All right. So what's next? We're going to add the sun. So you're going to need a small brush. I'm going to be using my number 2 flat. Okay, little guy, number 2 flat. Oh, I can't forget the swing too, right? That might be the trickiest part for some of you, that swing. So a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white. Now I want my sun to be a little bit washed out. So I'm going to mix some white. Take some white and some yellow to make kind of a dull yellow. I'm going to make it nice and thick. Okay, you see there's kind of a thick paint right there. Now my sun's going to sit right about, let's see, maybe a little over right here. And we're going to make it kind of a half sun. Some of it's kind of distorted because of there's haze. Maybe there's more like that, like a little bit of a mist off in the distance. This is a bit of a magical scene. So again, on the first pass, this is going to be really transparent, so I'm not worried about that. We'll fix that with a later layer of paint, but for now we just worry about the general shape of the sun, the size. I'm also going to take this paint and I'm going to go like this. And here below, like there's a distortion a little bit. So I'll give you a close-up. I have to sneeze, everybody. Excuse me. Excuse me. Wow, that was a big one. I always make fun of my wife because she has these gigantic sneezes that come from nowhere. No warning, just cha! Sounds like she's karate chopping something. So I always make fun of her. A little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, maybe more white. We're going to go ahead and start in on these highlights down here, right below the sun. We're going to drop down a little bit right in that water. Again, I'm still using my little number 2 flat, just creating little touches of light in that water. Okay, just kind of running my paint, lightly dabbing. Okay, doing that skinny part of my brush. Again, the reflection starts right down the center of the sun. If you were to draw a line right down the middle like this, that's where that would start. And I'm just running this down. These will get refined a little later also. We want to have our reflections in the water before we start on that swing. And as they get further down in the water, maybe they start to spread open a little bit more. And some can be a little bit more on the white side, some can be more on the yellowish side. All good. Just bringing some over down in here. So again, folks, if you don't regularly invest time in some kind of creative endeavor, I absolutely recommend it. Whatever it may be, whether it's painting or drawing, it can create so much peace of mind, kind of like meditation. And you don't have to have any experience. I'm going to bring some down in here in the purple area too. Little streaks of color. I'm going to take a little bit of my white and mix it with some purple. A little bit, maybe a little deeper. What I'm going to do with this is right above in here. Just want a slightly kind of more transparent area. Do that. Okay. We need more highlights still, so maybe a little bit of white once again. Oops, got a lot of purple in my brush. Make sure I get that out of there. Although if it mixes a little bit, that's okay. A little bit of white. Let's see over here. I feel like we need a little more over here. You're gonna get a moment to catch up here in just a bit. Everybody, just a little bit. I'm gonna run inside below my nose. I am definitely getting a little bit more congested as I'm painting along here. So we'll get maybe a minute or two to catch up. Okay, I will be right back. Don't go away. I'll be right back. All right, everybody. I do apologize about that. I didn't want to continue sniffling in your nose, in your ear, sniffling in your nose, in your ear. Okay, so all right. So let's continue with those highlights. I also need to come in and add some of those dark areas in the background. Okay, for that, actually, let's continue with the highlights for a little more here, and then also my sun is dried a little bit, so I'm going to take some yellow and some white once again and just kind of go over the top of that to make this a little more intense. Now this sun on the new one's a little larger than on the original. That's all right. Again, there's a variation, especially when we're doing it freehand. You're going to get some variation between paintings. So that's how this works. Okay, let's see. Let me get some more white paint out here. Okay, so working with my little number 2 flat. Just coming back up here. This time I've got a little more white in my brush instead of just yellow, or a combination of white and yellow, just adding a little more white to this. If you need to use a smaller brush, please do so. Depending on your canvas size, and also depending on your kind of comfort level with whatever brush you're using. Maybe your brush, you're able to make skinny lines with a different brush. Okay, I'm going to take some of this white now. It's just white. Slightly. So I did this. I took my brush and just kind of did that. I'm also going to take a little bit of water and dip it in there to bring that over here. It's mostly, I said white. It's mostly white. There's a little bit of yellow in there too. But I'm going to take this. I press down on both sides of my brush. I spin it and do that. And what that does is it allows me to make little tiny lines. What I'm going to do is this. A little bit on the shore across on the other side. There's a bit of water that's kind of a little bit of light reflecting off the water. Again, lots of little details, everyone, that makes the painting special. Okay. Sheila, what's happening, Sheila? The deep hue, exactly what color is that? I'm just getting started, but the deep hue threw me off for a loop. So it was, I'm sorry, maybe I did I not put out orange deep hue? I thought I put out orange deep hue on there, or medium hue. If I did not, I do apologize. It's basically orange, okay? It's this cadmium orange hue. Hold on. Is this the one we're talking about, or are we talking about the magenta? What other color do I have on here? I think somehow I might have had like an error on there where I didn't put the color entirely, because you're not the first person to ask me that. Tiffany, no worries, you didn't miss anything. You're able to back it up, start it from the beginning. Okay. All right, let's continue. So where are we going next? We're going to go and start adding the foliage, the leaves up on top. And for that, I'm going to go back to my big 1-inch brush. Okay, this guy right here. Okay, and then once again, it's the purple and the brown, the burnt umber that I'm going to use to make that really deep, dark color. Although it's probably going to lean a little more towards the purple side. It won't be as dark as this in here. It's going to be a little bit more on the purple side. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Little tiny bit of the brown. So we don't need that much. Little bit. And you can do away without adding any of that of the brown. You'll be okay. Okay, but what I'm also going to do is this. Hold on one second, everybody. I'm going to grab some pink too. For a little bit of variation in this. Again, a big brush. I'm going to do this just a little bit. I'm not fully mixing the colors. I'm just going to dab. Okay, and I want to kind of. This is the center, the inside of all of this stuff. Around the edges, I'm going to use a smaller brush to create those lighter colors around the outside, the highlights. You want to move through this carefully if you're not quite sure where it's all going. You don't want to go too quickly and end up making this larger than it needs to be. Okay, so I'll explain as I'm going along. I am using thick paint. I'm dabbing with the brush, mainly pushing down. In some cases, I will kind of pull the paint a little bit. In other words, by pull, I mean like this. But mainly, it's dabbing. So I'm just coming over, grabbing. Maybe I'll grab a little bit of pink in there too. And let's see, right here it gets a little narrow. This area right here, it gets a little bit on the narrow side. So anyway, folks, I didn't realize that for some reason when I went in there and I looked at it earlier, I didn't realize that I didn't include the actual color of whatever deep hue color I was talking about. But it was orange, I believe, is what was missing in there. So my apologies about that. Okay, so this goes like this. Again, take your time with this. Don't go too fast, especially if you're using a large brush like I am. You want to be careful. This little area here, I'm going to add that now. I'm going to go like this. You notice I'm covering up my branch a bit. And I'm using the edges of the brush, the little corners of the brush. Okay, here kind of does this, moves up a little. Okay, I'm going to grab my 1/2-inch brush now. This guy. Okay, my little 1/2-inch flat. I'm going to grab more pink. I'm going to do this. Pink and purple, but a little lighter on the pink. I'm going to start coming over here around the edges. You can also use Q-tips for this. We can bunch up a bunch of Q-tips. You can also do this with Q-tips. Some people like it gives you a little bit more of a, it can give you a bit of, if you're looking for kind of a particular kind of leaf, it gives you a little bit more control. But use what works for you. So we slowly build up to it. And here on the edges, I just kind of pull it. So the pink, the color gets a little lighter towards the edges. Okay, over here. So I turn the brush in different directions, use different parts of that brush. Again, everybody's tree, just like everything else in here, can look a little different or a lot different. There's no one size tree fits all, and okay, we're gonna let this dry a little bit as I'm working down in here. Okay, I'm gonna start adding some highlights to that tree. The highlights are gonna make this thing really pop, okay? Or it's gonna make everything stand out quite a bit more with regards to the tree. It gives the tree a little bit of a 3D effect. Hi, Paula. Yep, you can watch it immediately after. You can watch it immediately after. You can even back the video up if you'd like. It'll be available for some time. I know, Sheila. I know. Apricot, says Angie. Harvest orange and pumpkin orange are colors. Okay. Those are some good colors right there. I like those. All right. My Filbert. Okay. We're going to take some burnt umber and some of that magenta. Okay. Oh, I already have some on my plate. And we're also going to take a little bit of white. So, brown. I'll go right here. Okay. Oh, somebody with a hot rod outside my house. Oops, wrong color. Pink. Go like this. So a little more brown. Here, let's see. Actually, we may not need to mix white in here. Just depends on how bright we want those highlights. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go like this. So I got this highlight that runs down and goes like this, goes up. Creating the highlights in that tree now, our trees. There we go. Using my Filbert brush here. If your highlights aren't popping as much, you can experiment a little bit, add a little bit of white in there if you need to. Now, what I would do is I would wait to allow this first layer to dry a bit, because you're going to be able to come back and add more highlight on top of it, which can make it stand out more. You could also add maybe a little bit of purple in there, a little bit of yellow. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of yellow now and throw it in there. Mix it in a touch. Maybe a smidge of white. A little bit more white. Okay, I'm going to take my number 2 little flat brush. Okay, I'm going to go like this, grab some of that white. Don't forget, folks, for those of you that would like to help spread awareness, support, and advocate for people with brain tumors, or future people that develop brain tumors, you can donate to the National Brain Tumor Society's Foundation, National Brain Tumor Society. There's a link in the description of this video. It'll take you right over there. Okay, so be sure to, if you're looking to help out, we're looking to raise $1,000 for them. Just taking a little bit of the original dark color that's in here. We grab a little bit of brown and mix it together. So this is the original color that was in here, this dark one. I need a little bit to refine some of those branches. So a little bit of water, and take a bit of the burnt umber, and maybe a little tiny bit of white, just to lighten it up a smidge. I'm going to come up here and just refine some of these branches. We're coming up on maybe the toughest part of the painting when we do that swing here in just a bit. Before that, though, just going to add a few little branches. Just cleaning up the branches up in here, just making them look a little bit more realistic. We're not done with the leaves up in here. We're going to be adding some touches to those too. Okay, if you're not quite, this isn't quite where I want it, but we're getting there. Right now we're working on those highlights. Little sunlight reflecting on our hope tree. Okay. Filbert brush. This color in here, the one that I was just using, but it looks like I might have to mix some more. So brown, a burnt umber, purple. I need more purple. Give me a sec. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. So awesome. For those of you that are going to be joining in on the recorded session, thank you as well. Hope you're enjoying the session. Hope you're having some fun getting a little creative with me. What I'm doing right now is I'm just mixing a slightly lighter color than all of this. So the burnt umber, the purple, I'm going to add a little bit of the white just to raise the value up a tiny bit. Not too much, but enough for it to contrast. I'm also dipping the brush in the water just a little bit. I'm going to come right in here and I'm going to go like this. Seriously, folks, I think this is a very worthwhile cause to help support, fund research and all that good stuff. There's very little funding for research from what I understand. So every little bit counts. So I'm also coming down here and adding that same color over here. It's so weird to think that sometimes something like a cure is just about having enough money. I know it's not quite that simple all the time, right? Obviously, it takes a whole lot of different factors, but money is such a big part of so many things. Okay, I'm still using my Filbert. Creating the little weeds over here. Oh, I know we forgot what I forgot. Before I continue here, I'm going to take some purple, just the purple, and I'm going to do this. Other side. Basically, this is just the shadow or the reflection of the, kind of the reflection of the, of those land masses out there in the distance. Now we can get back to our little weeds. We're almost there, everyone. We're almost there. So I'm using my Filbert brush. You can be using a small flat, a little round. You know, little grasses over here, little weeds. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my little number 2 flat for a second. Still working on those little grasses and stuff down here. Okay. Thank you, Candy. Hi, Miranda. Hope so, Miranda. Thank you. Okay. Back up to our little tree up here. So if you guys have one of these brushes, you can use these for your leaves. If you don't, that's okay. Use what you've got. You can continue with a flat brush like this one. Okay. What you can do is spread the bristles a little bit before you grab your paint. Okay. I'm going to grab my fan brush. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab some of the pink, some of the purple, and I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to dab around the edges. Now this one here is again, I think I had a typo on the original, but it doesn't really matter too much. The size of your fan brush isn't going to make a huge difference. But this one here is a number 8 fan brush. Okay, you can have pretty much any size that will be okay. And this is a stiff bristle brush, but you can also use the ones that are a little more of the, what's it called? The name of the bristle type, the Taklon bristle brush, or the softer bristle type. Either one is fine. You can also use, like let's say you grab a few Q-tips, those cotton swabs, just grabbing pink and purple together. And you can bunch like maybe 5 of them, 4 of them together with a rubber band, or you'd hold them all together with your fingers, and you can dab around the edges. That works well too. I'm just using this mainly on the edges. And I spread the paint a little bit as I dab them also, kind of spreading, moving the paint around a little. But having these little highlights on the edges of your tree make it look like this, it gives it a little bit of dimension. again, just dabbing around. I'll bring some of this a little further in, just for a few highlights inside the tree. I need a little more purple in here, a little too light, so I need to grab a little more purple on the inside. Okay, then lastly, with regards to the tree, I'm going to take my little 1/2 inch flat and I'm going to do this. I'm taking some purple and some pink, just nice thick pink. This can be a little tedious, but around some of these edges, maybe not all of them, I'll just clean this up. We're almost at the swing, everybody. I know the part you've all been waiting for. So you can just work your way around your tree using this little method where you're dabbing with this, with the 1 inch, or number 2 flat. You're just defining your edges. And you can also bring this in a little bit here and there. Okay. Now this could probably use a little bit more refinement, but it's not something that we have to do at the moment. You can always come back to this. Something like this that has a lot of tedious little repetitive steps like this, you often want to leave it alone for a little bit and come back to it, look at it again, and then add a little bit at a time. Add more to it. Let your eyes kind of adjust. This one here has more dark inside of this, a little more volume of the dark parts than this one. But just to not make this video too long, I can come back and adjust for that later. What I mean by that is this, and I'll just kind of demonstrate it kind of quickly here. So what I would do is I would come back with mainly just the purple and the brown mix. Okay, maybe a little bit of the brown, and I would come in here and fill this in. Okay, dab, dab, dab. Fill all of this in the center in throughout so that it matches more like the original. But maybe before you do that, step away from it for a little while. I'm not talking about stepping away right now, but stepping away from this for a while, looking at it after a couple of hours or maybe a day, and looking at it and going, okay, can I refine that a little bit by doing what Jesse's talking about? Okay, you might find that you like it exactly the way you have it and doesn't need it. Okay, but in case you did, that's how you would approach that. Okay. Well, what I'd like to do now is get down in here and start working on the swing, which while it's not a lot of steps, left, it can be a bit of a tricky part to do, and I want to spend a little time on that. We're almost done, everybody. Just touching this up in here so it's a little darker. Okay, let's look at that swing. Okay, now, if you happen to have a piece of chalk, I would recommend, or I wouldn't use a regular pencil, but I would recommend using chalk to draw it out first. So I'm going to draw this here, and I want that somewhere in here. I don't want my ropes to be in front of the sun, my sunlight, or they could be also. It's all up to you. But my swing will be about right here. I'm just drawing a nice thin line across. Let's see. I would imagine, okay, I can kind of visualize my strings going up. I'm going to take, again, some brown and some purple. So my burnt umber and my dioxazine purple. We're almost there, everybody. We're almost there. Okay, I'm just gonna do this and use one of my round brushes, one of my small detail brushes. This is my number 0 round brush, very skinny little brush that allows me to draw. Okay, so purple and the brown, making a nice dark color. Okay, I'm gonna put a little water on that. Mix in some water in there. Now I'm also going to take my brown, put it right next to it. Maybe take a tiny bit of my yellow, not my white, just to lighten it up a bit. A little bit of yellow. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to draw the board first. Let's see, I want to make sure if I draw it here, can I connect my ropes? I keep wanting to say strings. So we're going to draw a little rectangle. I'll give you a close-up in a second. Got a little rectangle going here. Okay, so it's wider over here, narrow over there. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. This is the top. This is the top of the swing. And it's just brown with a little bit of yellow. Okay, now take my brush, clean it a little bit. That purple color that I made, the dark combination of purple and the brown, I'm going to take that, I'm going to wrap it around the edge. Of my board. Excuse me, let me make it a little darker. So that it gives it a bit of a dimension, a 3D effect. Get a little close up. Okay, you all see that? Brown on top, the dark purple brown mix on the edges. Just for a little bit of dimension, a tiny bit of a 3D effect. Now, again, I'm going to do this with chalk just to make it a little easier. I'm going to take my chalk and I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to have a chalk line. Now, the ropes are on the edges of the board, right, of the base, and they get a little skinnier as it moves up. So with that in mind, I can start down here. And I go like that. And then the reason why I do it with chalk is if this is easy to fix. I can easily go in there and remove that. With a little bit of water on a cloth, I can just wipe that off and it comes right off. Okay, but it allows me to kind of look, and now I can follow those lines, even if they're a little tiny bit crooked, and they are. It's easy for me to follow those lines. Really light. Again, if you don't have chalk, you can use, I wouldn't use pencil because that's harder to erase. But you can use watercolor pencils also would work. Okay. Now, 1 inch, number 2 flat. Number 2 flat. My dark mixture. I need more of this, so let's make some more. Very crucial that on this step, because I'm making those little skinny lines, that I add plenty of water to my mixture. So I dip my water, I brush my water a couple of times. I feel a sneeze coming, everybody. I'm warning you. Unlike what my wife does, catches me off guard. Okay, now what I'm going to do is this. I take my brush, I spin one side, spin over to the other. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make my brush really skinny. Now I'm going to bring the canvas towards me a bit so I have better control. Otherwise, it'll be a lot harder. You could also take the canvas and put it in your lap if you're working on canvas. Okay, what I'm going to do is this. I take my finger, I've even put the palm of my hand. I got to follow this carefully. I know I'm going to be blocking a bit of what I do, and I do apologize about that, but I got to go for it. Okay. And then other side. I'm going to have to go over the same spot again. It's all right. Okay. Now, if I need to, like up in here, got a little crooked, I can take a paper towel, a little bit of water, and I can lightly come across and erase that. As long as the paint is still wet, I can redo that. I need a little bit of water and lightly go right over the crooked part. So even if you do this with paint and you don't like it, you want to erase it quickly though, because the longer you wait, the harder it is to remove. Okay, just a little FYI. You don't want to wait till tomorrow to try to erase, because by then that paint's really dry and a lot harder to remove. Okay, so here we go again. Let's fix that part up. It's easier in your lap. It's easier if you put the canvas face down on the table in front of you. But for our purposes today, I'm doing it right on the easel. Still getting a little bit of a crooked rope. It's all right. Hold your breath if you have to. So one little thing to think about. If you can't get straight lines for your ropes, or relatively straight lines, you could do it more like a vine, where whatever you've got, even if it's curvy or what have you, put little flowers on it, little silhouettes of flowers all the way down your ropes. And that would be really cool. And it's one way to hide the curvy nature of the ropes. Or again, you make them look more like vines. Okay, so again, little idea there. If you can't get those ropes relatively straight, turn them into vines and put little flowers on them. Okay, so last thing really is to look at your painting, assess it from a little bit of a distance. What I like to do is I like to walk away from my piece for a few hours. Often, I'll let it sit for a day or so, and then I'll come back and look at it again with fresh eyes. That allows me to get a good perspective with fresh eyes and really look at it and then decide if I need to make any changes. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. Leaving it alone for even just a couple of hours. Come back to it, look at it again. Then go, oh, I need to add this, or I need to add more of that. It just makes it easier to avoid the tunnel vision that often comes from sitting so long and creating. For example, I look at it and I can see that I would like to add a few more highlights in my water. Maybe I could also make the sun a little bit more even in color so it's not quite as transparent. I would definitely do a few more touches to the leaves in the tree, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close to the original. All that's really left after that is to sign it. And I normally don't sign my piece until I consider it done, but because, I want to sign this piece and, just kind of commemorate our time together today, I'm going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of the purple, a little bit of water also, and I'm going to use one of my round brushes, one of my lighter brushes. A little water when you sign your piece always helps to throw in a little bit of water. I'm going to come over here. Oh, my chalk. Once this is dry, I'll come in here and remove my chalk with a little cloth, lightly damp. So let's see. So just signing with my last name. Okay. But again, everyone, let me take a look at the comments. I'm not quite ready to leave here, but maybe 5 minutes and we'll be all done. Ivy says, got on too late, beautiful work and cause close to my heart. Ivy, no worries. This recording is going to be available for you to watch whenever you are ready for it. Probably at least for 2-3 weeks here on the Painting with Jesse page, maybe longer. We'll see. Okay, so please, it's all good. Angie says my swing runs into the sunset. That's okay. Okay. Julie, my pleasure. Thank you as well. I would need a ruler. I can't draw a straight line. That's okay, Candy, definitely. A little ruler is acceptable to use. Jake says, wonderful. Thank you so much, Jesse. May there only be better memories in your guys' future. From someone in a similar boat, keep rocking it. It's one of life's greatest struggles, but we are all survivors. Please keep us painting. This has been awesome. Jake, again, thank you so much for your story. I greatly, greatly appreciate you sharing, and everybody else that's shared a little snippet of their own experience. It is absolutely appreciated. Again, it tells other people that they are not alone, which is one of those things that's extremely important when somebody receives news of this nature. It just flips life on its head, and then all of a sudden everything just gets really dark for a while. So the more of us share our experiences, the better I think others that are going through this can help, the better we can help them navigate what's going on. And, people, again, learn to understand that they're not alone in this, that there are lots and lots of people going through stuff like this. So for all of you that have joined me today and all of you that are going to be joining in on the recorded session, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. Please don't forget to share this with your friends on your social media. Share your painting, share, what this is about. Share the link to the donations page. If you haven't already, please share that. I'm not sure what let me see if I can look to see where we are at the moment with regards to the goal. Again, our goal is $1,000, and so far we are at 717. Fantastic. More than, what is that? 66%-ish? What was that? About 60%? What is that? 70%. What am I talking about? 70%, 71.7% to be exact, of our $1,000 goal. So thank you to all of you that have donated. It looks like we're going to surpass it at this rate. So please continue to donate if you can. If you cannot donate, it's totally understood, but you can raise awareness by sharing that this is Brain Tumor Awareness Month. Okay, the more awareness there is out there, the more people are willing to help, I think, and more, if you're not aware of what's going on, then you don't know, that there's people going through this. And who knows, maybe someday in the future, somebody close to you, or perhaps yourself, hopefully you never would have to go through this, but if you did, you have some idea of what it is that, what this is about. So, and then the other thing I want to mention again is that on the 24th, tentatively right now on the 24th, I'm going to have a representative from the National Brain Tumor Society on, hopefully live on the Painting with Jesse page, so we can talk and I can ask questions and they'll give us an inside look from their organization as to how things are going with the fight against brain tumors. I think it'll be a very interesting and fascinating session. So on the 24th, tentatively, I'll be posting ASAP timeframes and things like that. But hopefully you can join me, and then maybe I'll get Erica, my wife, on here for another session towards the end of the month where we can talk a little bit about the details from her perspective. From somebody who actually went through having a brain tumor. And again, I want to reiterate everybody that we are so far, knock on wood, some of the lucky ones. Her meningioma was benign. They were able to remove it entirely. So she's doing well besides the recovery period. 2022 basically was just kind of a crazy year for us, but things have recovered nicely all around, and as I mentioned before, we're thriving. So thank you again. I want to make sure I put that out there so that everybody knows we are okay. All right, I don't want anyone to think that we are in some kind of bad shape at the moment. We are not. Again, knock on wood, we're looking forward to the future. Things are looking good, and hopefully they stay that way. But anyway, everyone, that is the end of our session today. I think I've got a couple of statistics left to go through. 3 more statistics, and we'll finish up with that. Only 5 to 10% of all cancers are genetically inherited or hereditary. It's rare for brain tumors to be genetically inherited, which is, I guess, good news, right? All things considered. Number 9, despite being relatively rare compared to other cancers, brain tumors are often deadly and impact quality of life significantly. Brain cancer is now the leading cause of cancer-related deaths in children and adolescents. Some of the saddest stories I've heard in our journey are of children that develop brain tumors. That is extremely, extremely sad. Cancer in any form, or illnesses in children in any form, but such is life. Number 10, brain tumor research is critically underfunded. In the last 30 years, there have only been 4 FDA-approved drugs to treat brain tumors. Now, these are details I found online. Please do not quote me as these are concrete fact. I tried to research as much as I could and kind of compile data and use my best judgment as to what was accurate. However, I cannot completely guarantee that every single detail. I myself didn't do the research, so you know what I'm saying as far as researching the data. I compiled data that I found, if that makes sense. But we all know, brain tumors, cancer, all very serious things, and the more we advocate, the better off I think the future looks. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you having joined us today. And looking forward to a brighter future. Okay. Thank you. And last thing, please don't forget to send me pictures of your paintings. I'd love to have those so that later in the month I can share a big bunch of them with the Painting with Jesse page so that we all get to see each other's handiwork. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you. Treasures of the Trail. I'm not sure of the trail, Treasures of the Trail. If you're asking how to donate, there's a link in the description of the video where you can go right over to the National Brain Tumor Society to donate. Okay. Thank you, Jake. You answered that. How do you donate? Yep. There's a link in the description of the video. If you look also in the comments section, there should be a pinned comment where you find the link to that. Okay. I'll also post it again on the Painting with Jesse page. Unfortunately, it looks like Facebook kind of pushes it down so it doesn't get spread as easily. Unfortunately, that's what it looks like. The link. Yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to drop the link right in the comments. How about that? That's the smart thing to do. Thank you for the suggestion, Candy. Here we go. Here's my comment with the link. Okay, there it goes. Let me see if it showed up. Thank you, treasures on the trail. I greatly appreciate that. And I do apologize if it was a little bit difficult for you guys to see. But there it is at the very bottom of the very last comment in the feed. And I'll do it again. I'm going to say donate here. And I'll put the link in there once again, okay? But again, everybody, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate all of you. I'll be around on the page, poking around. If you have any questions for me for anything, send me a message. I'll be more than happy to help out. Okay? Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.